GM, everyone. It's Wednesday, July 26th. Another episode of Let's Play Little Nouns. I've got Index here, as always. We got a great show. We got a lot going on in Nouns. We're going to cover it all, and we are going to get started right after this. GM, everyone. Index. GM.
GM, how are you today?
I'm doing well. We got a wild week in Nouns. Maybe we'll get into some of that swim prop a little bit later. But yeah, we got let's see, the fork. What's it called now? Is it the split? What's the terminology? The fork, the split?
I think it's Dow fork.
We are inching closer and closer to that, and we're going to cover all that in our show tonight. But before we get started, quick disclaimer here. This is a live stream adventure. This is not financial advice. It's not legal advice. We are, in fact, sponsored by Little Nouns DAO. You can read all about that sponsorship on Ethereum at littlenouns.wtf/vote/116. Gosh, that feels like ages ago, doesn't it, Index?
I think it was ages ago. I actually couldn't even tell you when it was. That's how long, unfortunately. But
it's been about, what, 3 months, 4 months? Maybe 4 months.
3 to 4 probably is right. I feel like I should know the date, but kind of a lot going on.
So we got
not a lot at the same time. Yeah, sorry.
Oh, fair enough. But just a note to the viewers here: we got 15.42 ETH to produce this show. It was very, very difficult. Called it extrovert mode here. Yeah. But anyway, that's the show's brought to you by Little Nouns DAO. You and I have been at this for probably about 4 months or so. We've been through the Trough of Sorrow. Maybe we're still in the Trough of Sorrow. I know we were exploring the optimistic arc that opens up a parallel path, but it does feel like we're sort of still stuck in the mud in the Trough of Sorrow.
I think for maybe this like proposal idea we had, yeah, we're probably still a little bit stuck. I guess part of that is I've been distracted by a couple other ideas or proposals too. So on those, things are probably going okay, but for this prop, yeah, we're still kind of stuck, but we keep pushing on with the show, which I think kind of says something. And yeah, I don't know. There's something to be said about doing a show this many weeks.
For sure. Yeah, we've got a whole Figma file of shows. The earliest one we have here was back in May, but we were doing these well before. Yeah, we are consistent. We took 1 week off, but we have not missed a single show other than that 1 week. And yeah, I'm gonna say we're kind of in a pit of despair now. Still, something that we can still claw ourselves out of. But just sort of part of life, part of going up and down, kind of getting some momentum, losing it. We're still at it. Nouns is still at it, right? Blocks are moving. You want to give us a quick update, Index, on kind of, you had this section here, the current DAO snapshot. What's going on in Nouns?
Yeah, I know you like to do a little bit of your snapshot. So right now, Nouns 791 is being auctioned off. Current bid of 29.4. Still going a little bit below what is considered book value, but maybe people are kind of projecting where the book value might end up by the time the fork is live, so they're not going to bid up to the book value yet. The governance pool, if I guess go down a little bit. Down to 31 votes. I think it was around there last time, so not much has changed there. And then we can go back to your treasury view here. Massive change here. A little under 4,000 ETH left in the treasury. 10,000 of that, as we'll look a little bit later, was converted to stETH recently. Ooh. And we also have 518 Rocket Pool ETH, which is kind of new to the DAO. Starting to diversify our staked ETH holdings, but also kind of not at the same time by adding 10,000 stETH. Maybe your thoughts here, because this is your kind of domain.
Well, I just love how Ethereum works. I love staking. I love having stETH and Rocket Pool. And yeah, what's interesting to me, I don't think I've covered this on the show, but we have covered how at the beginning of the blockchain day at 0 UTC, which was just 8 minutes ago, the stETH balance gets auto updated. So I'm gonna guess that we have an extra, Nouns has an extra 4 or 5. So I bet we're up to like 24.47, 4.6. That just compounded, just happened. And we'll check on that. Or actually, maybe could you check on that and grab a new screenshot index while I talk about REITH? So yeah, the way staked ETH works is it really tracks closely to the price of Ether. So in fact, it's trading right now at like a 50-cent discount. So very, very closely. And if you hold it, then basically every day your balance increases, but the price is very close to the Ether. Now, in contrast, our ETH, it doesn't have that compounding, but in fact, it still accrues rewards and benefits, just like any Ethereum staking token. But in fact, in this case, it accrues it such that the value of each unit just goes up and up. So, up relative to Ether. So it looks like there's, let's see, 1872 to 2019. You know, what is that? About $150 bonus for our ETH. That's gonna, I assume, just keep getting more and more, and eventually, you know, one R ETH is going to be worth a lot of ETH. Does that make sense, Index?
Yeah, that's actually like a pretty concise and good explanation to me, at least. I don't know if we ever went over this on the show. I'll try and paste something in here. Just put it over here. This is Little's treasury. I can't remember if we ever did this, but I sent some to the Little's treasury one day, and so you can see the stETH has accumulated a little bit, but the R ETH is worth a little bit more right now. I'll move that out of the way.
Sorry, you sent R ETH or stETH?
I sent both. I sent stETH. I think I sent stETH once just as like a joke, and then someone complained, and so I sent the other one just to even it out.
Why did someone complain?
I don't know. Someone didn't like that it was stETH. So I spent I don't know what it was. I guess $15 or whatever just to mess around. But anyway, we'll go back to the main nouns.treasury, I guess.
Yeah, and so about 11 minutes ago, I'm going to click here. We had the compounding event, I think. Yeah, sometimes there's a bit of a delay. Does it show up as 24,442 for you too? Maybe it just hasn't.
Yeah, updated. It's still the same right now. Hasn't updated yet. We could check back maybe later. Or
yeah,
we could look next week too.
Yeah, that sounds good. So this was, of course, the staking 10,000 ETH prop that you and I talked about. It passed pretty overwhelmingly. I think you abstained, right? Or you voted? How did you vote?
I voted
Were you a
against
no?
this one. I was a no. I abstained on some of the other like financial ones. I think I'm for. I mean, I'm for staking. I think I talked about it last time. I just voted no. I think on this prop, just because it's all these props just seem kind of like more reactionary and like to each other instead of someone genuinely wanted like had this idea and worked on the prop and came to it. I don't know if that makes any sense. I voted. Yeah, I don't know. Just felt like voting against.
Yeah, no worries. I mean, it passed 230 to 104.
Yeah.
It's about a third of the Dow, or more than a third, almost 40%. Pretty high turnout, honestly. I love this. I checked this right before we went on air. Is after a prop passes, there is a time lock, and then anyone can execute it, right? So I pulled this up, and we can see here that Joel cares.eth executed this transfer here or executed this prop of transferring 10,000 ETH from the Nouns treasury to Lido, and then receiving in return 9,999.999999 ETH. I guess we were short a little bit, but a little bit of slippage there. But that's an $18.6 million transaction. Is that the biggest Nouns transaction to date?
I'm fairly certain that's the biggest in one go. 18 mil. There's been other big ones like 5,000 ETH, Steve, but yeah, I think that's the biggest.
I love this little detail here. The gas cost for this transaction was $7. $7 for 18.6 million. Amazing.
That's kind of like the crazy thing about Ethereum, right? I guess maybe it's that way in the real world too. Like, he could have transferred like $1 or $2, and it kind of that kind of like all costs the same.
Yep. Amazing. I think this is a transaction that it's almost like there could be like a page for like transactions of note or like important props that pass. It just seems like Joel's forever going to be linked to this one. Big one, man. I can't imagine. I mean, when are we going to have another $18 million transaction? I guess it would probably have to be, I mean, maybe the fork, maybe that much ETH moves in the fork. But otherwise, it would have to probably be some kind of treasury management, some kind of rebalancing or unstaking or something like that. But this is probably going to be the largest transaction for quite a long time.
Yeah, I think even like the fork, it depends how big the fork is, because 20% of the DAO, 28,773 ETH. If you take 20% of that, it's only like 5,700 ETH. So
just barely half.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. But yeah, 18 mil is a lot in one transaction. But you never know, like way off in the future, props could be in this realm again. Who knows?
Yeah, we could have some spicy ones. We should cover, I don't think we have this on the board, but last week we talked about those kind of Ether Rock and those punk props. What happened? What came of those? Could you give us kind of a summary here? There was this bid on Alien Punk, and then there was Ether Rock. Looks like they were all canceled.
There's still like round 3. It's kind of still active. So the Buy Alien Punk V3 prop was canceled because of the staked ETH proposal going through. So essentially, Beautiful NFTs realized that this prop was not going to work out now that there was less than 5,000 ETH in the treasury. So he canceled. The Ether Rock on the other hand, still active. It's all no's right now. I voted. There I am. My little index card. Yeah.
I I wonder if this will be the most unpopular proposal ever. Of course, this was one where it doesn't actually bid, but it just transfers the ETH to the proposer's address. I assume the proposer's address. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the ETH isn't there to transfer anyway, but yeah, it's a big no so far.
Yeah, let's let's see what else happened this week. So we had the resubmission of the Noggles. This went through, and I believe with the governance pool. This was, I think, was this a third attempt at this or the second? This had been up a couple of times, right?
This was the second for this specific prop. These were funded, I think, in the past by NSFW or something like that. But yeah, the governance pool voted for it, which kind of swung it in its favor with 30 minutes to go. And then they got a huge chunk from the Nounders of 55 votes or whatever it is. So it won comfortably in the end, but it was down to the last hour or so.
Yep. We also had resubmission of NurmanBot, much lower ask. This thing passed pretty handily here. Good to see that. Joel, I assume you were a yes on this if I look closely. Yep, there you are.
I was a 4. Yeah, I wanted to be a 4 on the first prop, but again, like most, I thought maybe just a little too much money. But I don't know, maybe not. But this one, much more reasonable ask, took a lot of input, adjusted the prop, and I think everyone kind of moved in line with the adjustments. Kind of all made sense, this one. I mean, Technically, I use Nerman every day, whether or not I realize it, through Discord notifications. But so I guess worth funding.
Do you have a personal server that it pings them to, or you mean just like in the NCD?
Just one of the Discord servers I'm in has like a channel for all the notifications. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. Not much more to say about this. I mean, Joel, obviously OG Nouncil. You've known Joel for a long time, I assume.
Yeah, I'm a member of Nouncil, so interacted with Joel quite a bit. Just all around Nounish guy, doing Nounish things.
Yep.
So good to see people like that funded.
Absolutely. Hey, quick shout out here. We got some viewers on YouTube. We got Ian Wiley with the 3 diamonds. GM Ian, thanks for watching. You can catch us on YouTube and Twitter at Lil Panda WTF, and of course, we also got little Nouns Tube action. Maybe little Mike Good. Mike, good to see you. GM. Okay. Other props. Let's talk about Nountify Korea. This one came down to the wire, right?
Another resubmission that passed, although this one was the closest of them all. Governance pool was an against vote, maybe slightly unexpected. With that one, it would have been a lot more comfortable, but kind of this wallet that's been bidding a lot on the pool lately, funded with 10 ETH. It's down to 7 now, I guess. But they've been bidding heavily, and their bid of 0.15 was just enough that the Keep Nouns Weird party bid pool could not bid with the ETH in their collective wallet. So
how much was in the collective wallet? Was it like what, 0.149? Do you think that was coincidence, or do you think
it was like 0.152 if I'm correct, and the minimum bid required was 0.158? So likely on purpose. But yeah, that's the way it goes. Soon enough, though, there'll be extensions. I think maybe it's already live on the latest props, but governance pool bidding extensions, so you won't have to try and like snipe, and you can maybe coordinate a little bit better. But still cheap to sway a prop 0.15 or potentially sway a prop. But yeah, It was down to the wire, then a few individual holders voted for it to push it over.
Oh yeah, I also noticed on the staking 10,000 ETH, this one went for 3.1 ETH. 10, what is that? $4,000 or $5,000 to stake ETH. Do we know? Do we have any idea who this is?
That's the same wallet.
Oh, that's what the 3.1 ETH was.
Yeah. So I don't think we know who it is, but yeah, it's a lot of ETH to spend to kind of sway the 10,000 prop. The reasons, I guess you can kind of guess, but who knows truly? But interesting dynamics either way. 5,800. Wow. It's quite the investment.
Yeah. And what's interesting is, Steve you can request Steve in a proposal just like you can ETH. So I don't really understand why people think that, hey, it's like if we have Steve, then it's safe or it's protected. I mean, do you think there's going to be a bias against spending Steve versus ETH?
I'm not too sure. We haven't seen anybody request it yet, right?
I don't think so. Yeah, I don't think so.
I mean, I haven't put up a prop, so I haven't really seen the flow and like how obvious or easy it is. But I believe the latest commit on the NounsDAO mono repo was might have been like last month or something, and it was front end. I think it was front end work mostly to support Steth transactions.
Well, yeah. So I think that's coming. I mean, I'd almost rather get paid in Steth than ETH, to be honest, because then you don't have to do the transaction yourself to convert it if you like holding Steth. But okay, anyway, we also have this new one that went up. This went up really recently, right? Maybe a couple days ago. Prop 347. Oof. I get a little.
This was just like a couple hours ago, if that.
Yeah, I get a little nervous when I see we're basically halfway through the 300s. Oof! I remember when we were still on the twos. But what is this here, Index? I feel like for someone newer to Nouns, it's kind of opaque here. What the heck is the payer contract? What does it mean? Why is somebody doing this? What does this prop do?
I'm not really sure if it explains it in the prop necessarily. I've read it really quickly, but I'll try and do a good job. As part of the Verbs work, they realized that a lot of proposals or proposers were requesting ETH and then immediately converting it to USDC upon receiving the ETH. And so they took out that step for the proposer, and they built a tool that allowed you to request USDC directly from the treasury. And in order to do that, they created this thing called Token Buyer. They deposit, I guess, ETH into this Token Buyer. The Token Buyer converts it to USDC, and then the Token Buyer pays out USDC to the proposer. And so in preparation for the fork, I assume, the potential forkers or arbors are trying to find any instance of funds that are not in the treasury, but that may potentially belong to NounsDAO. And so this is one of those sources. And essentially, they just want to transfer all funds possible into the treasury, because currently these would not be included in the fork. Hopefully I did okay there. I may have made one mistake, but... And you're muted if you're talking at all. But
yeah, no, it made a lot of sense here. And if we look at just the proposed transactions here, set baseline payment token amount to, I'm guessing this is the 200,000. So, okay, when I click through, this looks like this is the Token Buyer contract. and it's buying ETH. Why is it buying ETH? Shouldn't it be buying USDC?
If you give me a moment to look at it.
Okay, so I'm going to go back to the first transaction. 252 days ago, it was created. And then, oh, let's see here. Created. By ETH. So, yeah, the first transaction here was swapping 200 ETH for USDC, 232,000. Let's see. Execute.
Yeah, I'd have to look a little bit longer to figure out how it's actually doing. This is a contract I've never actually looked that deeply into.
Same. But anyway, top line, really summary here is there's about 500K in this contract that really belongs to Nouns DAO. And for those who are going to partake in the Nouns DAO split / fork, this amount would not be included. So they reduced it to 200,000 to get a piece of that 500,000. I mean, it's totally legit, right? If you on a fork, you should definitely be able to fork these sorts of tokens because they really are sort of the property of the DAO. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, I don't know. Not much more to say, I guess. I think if I was forking, yeah, I would want a piece of this too. I don't intend to fork, but if I were, sure, I probably want every kind of last ETH.
Yeah. Any idea, any prediction on this? Do you think this will pass easily? Do you think there are going to be a lot of no votes? This is one that I sort of don't know. I mean, it's almost like a proxy for forking. I mean, I think for sure a lot of the rage quitters are going to vote for, but I wonder if folks like Nounders or other big ticket holders like Lil Nouns, I wonder if they're going to be a no on this. What do you think?
I'd probably be an against, because to me it's just like not the thing to be concerned about in Nouns or spend attention and energy on. But I'm also not forking, so I don't know. I'd have to put myself in a forker's shoes, I guess. But for me, it's just kind of a waste of attention and energy just to move money around. But if it makes the people happy, I guess go for it.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. Okay. I think that pretty much covers sort of the current props. Let's head back into the Figma, and you were going to talk a little bit about the threshold for submitting proposals. What's happening there right now? How many nouns do you need to submit a prop?
Let me share my Figma real quick.
Yeah.
Figma. We're good. All right. Currently, you need a minimum of 2 nouns to submit a proposal. And I went through the contract a little bit to kind of help explain. It's a little more complicated than what I've pulled in, but essentially there was chatter that soon enough you're going to need 3 nouns to submit a proposal. And I feel like this is something that not a lot of people really understand why or how that works. So this is sort of my attempt to do it. And I screenshotted the proposed function here. There's a lot more to it that gets cut off, but this is kind of the important part. And you kind of got this proposal threshold BPS to determine the proposal threshold.
Okay, so what's that number right now? The proposal threshold BPS.
The BPS currently is 25.
Okay, so what does that mean? How can you convert that into a meaningful number?
So I took another screenshot that kind of digs into this kind of function here. And so over here, this is kind of the equation you need. Takes the number of nouns, multiplies it by the BPS, and then you divide it by 10,000, and you get a number. So currently we're at like noun 792, or total supply of 792, I think. And the BPS is 25. So you take 792 times 25 divided by 10,000, and you get 1.98. And then if you go back over here, the require thing over here, function get prior votes, it must be greater than the proposal threshold. So the required votes must be greater than 1.98. And so if you hold 2, you're greater than 1.98. But over here, for the total supply is 800, you put it in this equation here, you get 2. So if you have 2 votes, you're no longer greater than the proposal threshold of 2. And so you would not be able to submit or call this proposed function successfully.
Interesting. Yeah, the other interesting thing is there's only 800 nouns for what, like a block, or do 800 and 801 get created in the same block, or how does that work?
So I believe technically, because nouns start at 0, when you hit 799, you'll be at 800. So it won't really matter that they're both created at the same time. 800 and 801. You'll have already technically hit the 800 mark.
That makes sense.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I think this is kind of like, people kind of know this exists, maybe not if you kind of know nouns. But I think the fact that this equation over here is kind of hidden in another file or contract is kind of what makes it confusing, because BPS, you see 25 and you don't really know what that means. But when you look at this equation, it kind of is very simple. You just take the supply, you multiply by the BPS, divide by 10,000, and you get your threshold. So
yep.
It's kind of important. This could be like a good Twitter thread, I think, or post. Maybe if I was Onion, I would do a thread on this.
Friend of the show, Onion, or should I say Onion?
Onion. Yeah, and then I also pulled in the get prior votes function, but that's not that important. It essentially just checks, how many votes you have at a certain block. But just for posterity, I included it. So that's kind of the gist on the proposal threshold. I'm not even sure I truly understood it before doing this. I just kind of knew it was a thing, but I never dug in this deep.
Yeah. And of course, the proposal threshold can be changed by any proposal, although now you'll need 3 nouns to do it. There were a couple of props about this. There was that infamous one where it would have raised it to 3 earlier, but one large voter claims they accidentally voted against it, and that swung it. And then there was a prop to lower it, and then that got canceled. But of course, it's always changeable. It just it makes it harder to get on chain, right? You've been on chain, or you've helped folks get on chain, and getting 1 noun delegated to you is one thing, but getting 2 delegated to you, what would you do if you had to get on chain? Would this impact you? I mean, I think it would, right?
I do think it actually makes it difficult. When you're in these low numbers, it's tough, I think, to find someone who holds 3. or find 3 people who hold 1, or someone that holds 2 and 1. It does add complexity to the situation. I've delegated to others before who needed an extra 1, and I know that it was not easy for those people to find that extra noun. I mean, there's something to be said about that, making it more difficult to get on chain, increasing proposal quality. But in DAO v3, it'll kind of change anyway, because proposers will be able to kind of shop their proposal around, and then nouns holders can kind of sign collectively that they like this prop, and if you meet the threshold, you're good. So it may be easier in the future, but right now I think it'll make it harder for sure.
Yeah, you won't, because you can basically propose without holding any nouns, right? And then some noun or a group of nouners could put you on chain. So in a way, it kind of gets rid of the proposal threat. Well, it doesn't, because you still need the nouners, but it does require 3 now if you want to go on chain without depending on someone else to put you up.
Yeah, you can still go like either route for v3, I think, but yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, a 3 noun holder or 3 nouns across multiple wallets will still need a signal they like your prop. And maybe once that goes live, I can see someone trying to raise it or lower it. Someone may try and lower it here as well. I know there's kind of like a camp that thinks it should just be 1, and if you hold a noun, you should be able to propose. It's kind of like considered like a right. I don't know, but I don't really know where I stand. 2 seems right now.
I remember I had a Digital Oil on many months ago, and he talked me through kind of his buying journey and into nouns, and he kind of knew before he bought any. He said, I wanted 2 because I wanted to have that. I forget what he used, but he said something to the effect of like, I wanted to have that sovereignty that I could go on chain without needing anything else. I feel like we need a word for that. I feel like that's like a category of nouner who can just at any minute, put their prop up on chain. As we think about this, I was wondering, maybe I don't know the answer to this, but how many current wallet holders are there, do you think, that hold 3 or more nouns? And while you think about that, maybe I'll go first and guess, because I haven't looked. But I'm going to guess like 25, maybe 20. I'm going to say 22. That's my guess.
3 or more nouns. Wow. I'll just go like 33.
All right.
I'll go a little more than you, 33. And just for the meme number.
Okay. All right. So here we are at nounsagora.com/voters. Shout out Nounsagora, Yutong, friend of the show. All right. Here we go. We got these 3. We got 6. We got 9. We got 12. I think I'm going to be under. Yeah. So we got 15. We got 18. 21. 24. 25, 26, 27, 30, 33, 36, 39, 41. That's more than I thought. 41.
That is actually a pretty good amount, to be honest.
Yeah. And then how many do you think are there that have 2 that are going to be priced out of proposing? We could guess that too.
It's going to be a lot. That's going to be at least like 50 plus.
You think 50 dual owners?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of them.
All right, I'm going to say... No, we got to count. I want to say 49.
I'll just say...
1, 4, 7, 10, 13, 16, 19, 22, 25, 28, 31, 34, 35, 36, So these are the 36 wallet holders right now, Fodes, Baronia, Fugazi, that are going to be priced out of putting a prop up. I didn't see Digital Oil. Is he still a holder? He must be. Maybe he got a third. Oh, he's delegated.
He's delegated to the pool.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I bet the pool has a bunch that otherwise would be counted.
Yeah, I think if you're talking just wallets that have the nouns versus like delegated or nouns represented like Agora does, it's more. But if you go only kind of like delegated or nouns represented, it's less. So maybe that's where I was off.
Yeah,
I was just considering actual owners. And I think it's more than 33, obviously, but or whatever number you were at.
Yep, that makes sense. That makes sense. Did we talk about this? The governance pool down to 31 nouns, right? About less than half. It got up to at least 62. Still 31 votes. A lot of votes are going to come within this margin still. But I kind of thought it would keep going up. But it looks like they pulled back a bit.
Yeah, it was. We talked about it a little bit. There was mostly one big wallet last week that pulled out, or something around that, with 20-something nouns. And a couple of their smaller holders kind of pulled their delegation. Mostly, I think, just to put up props. So maybe we'll see this number come back up again. But yeah, it's kind of weird to see it not have as much impact, even though it's still kind of in the mix and swaying props. It kind of was crazy and exciting in a weird way when it was 60 plus.
Mm-hmm. And with DAO v3, the snapshot's going to be taken right at the time of the vote, right? So theoretically, you could have some. You could time it so you could delegate to the pool on votes that you're comfortable with, and then undelegate and still participate, right? So like say there's a prop that's truly a toss-up, you're kind of 50-50 on it. Maybe you don't want to decide. Maybe you set it up so that right before that vote you delegate in, then you delegate out right afterwards, and then you collect a little dividend if you don't really care where your vote goes. Isn't that sort of a new functionality? Whereas now if you delegate, you don't know what kind of prop will come up. And so maybe you're a little bit more hesitant. You think that'll make a difference?
I think for sure. Yeah, I think for sure. I'm reading some of the comments here, but it'll definitely make a difference for the governance pool, but I think it'll just make a difference like DAO wide. You can kind of delegate more comfortably. I think we'll see a lot more action on the delegation thing. Maybe we'll see more pools pop up, but we got NounsTube kind of doing wallet checks for us. Yeah. So there's delegations and nouns represented, and then there's just wallets that actually hold the nouns.
True. Oh, interesting. 94 unique wallets with 2+ nouns. That's what did we have? We had like 30. I don't remember our numbers, but this seems higher than what we came up with.
Yeah, good website. Actually, I don't know if it's used too much, but nowners.wtf. I'm not sure what NounsTube was using, but there's a couple websites I think that do it, but nowners.wtf is simple. One purpose kind of tool.
Shout out NounsTube. Rocking the lo-fi beats, background noise, Mike.
This guy's a wealth of knowledge out there in the chat.
Absolutely. If you're tuned in, feel free to send us a comment, retweet, follow us on YouTube, Twitter. Appreciate our audience. Thank you very much. What else do we have? worth talking about here. We could go over the numbers again on the proposal timeline. About 5 days. I thought the prop voting period was now 7 days. No, I'm wrong on that, huh? It's 5 days? Index, are you there? I think you might be
Yes,
muted.
I was muted. Oh man. Yeah, I don't even know where I stopped talking, but pulled this earlier. There was a proposal once to kind of increase it, and it failed because it was outside the parameters allowed, the max, kind of the max allowable period. But there was some discussion in the NCD or Jungle Discord about proposal timeline. And as someone who's gone over this before or studied it, it was kind of like driving me a little bit crazy that people were getting it wrong. So I just pulled it in here to kind of lay it out. 36,000 blocks for both, about 12 seconds a block. You get it roughly 5 days. So 552 total proposal timeline of 12 days. And then up there's kind of like this reserve price. There was a lot of reserve price discussion yesterday also that I was observing. And the like stickler for detail in me, I wanted it to be known that there is currently a reserve price. And it's just incredibly small as you can get.
Is that 1 Gwei?
Yeah. So I know that obviously probably wouldn't have offered anything to the conversation, but I don't know. Sometimes I get hung up on those small little things.
I feel like that almost turns it against what you want, though, because I feel like you don't want a reserve price. And so for people who are struggling with, should we have a reserve price or not? Like that decision's already there because there already is a reserve price. So the question then they're going to say is, well, is the reserve price too low? Should we optimize it?
Yeah, I mean, pretty much. But I mean, it's there. It exists, so that's all, I guess. But I didn't say anything. I just observed.
Do folks want a dynamic reserve price or set it up to like 30 ETH or what? What's the chatter about that?
I'm not sure anybody there really is wants anything other than just I don't know, whatever. But it's mostly chatter to chatter and argue, I think, versus like someone actually meaning to act on anything.
Fair enough. A lot of chatter around nouns.
Yeah.
Always. And in fact, there was a Lil Nouns. Lil Nouns does have a reserve price. There was a prop recently to change that, and it didn't pass. But Lil Nouns has already done sort of the experimenting around reserve price. Shout out Lil Nouns. Hey, Index, we got just a little bit of time left. Do you want to give us an update on what you've been working on?
I think last week we kind of went over my swimming proposal or free swim lessons for kids proposal. We can kind of go back to last week maybe briefly, but I'll add myself to stream real quick.
I'll just follow your cursor here. Yep, you're live.
So yeah, this was kind of what we talked about last week, and there's not too many updates. I thought maybe I'd have a little bit more to offer this week, but I think shortly after logging off, I came across someone who was kind of doing somewhat similar things. Not completely free, but someone maybe I can talk to or work with and make life a little bit easier for me, or just get advice from. I was supposed to have a chat, didn't have a chat, so my proposal is kind of on hold until I have this discussion and figure out the actual route before I continue kind of working on it. I'm still thinking about it and working through some small details, but the general vision is kind of pending until this discussion. And essentially, I just want to try and see if I could save some money and direct more of that money towards the free lessons than overhead or fixed costs.
It makes a lot of sense. Makes a lot of sense, yeah, because the bulk of this budget here is in rental fees for the pool.
Yeah, they are expensive, and I'm also in New York, so um, it's kind of on the expensive end, but that's how pools are, and that is why there's like a shortage and an issue with this kind of stuff. Is that the sport of swimming is innately expensive with the equipment and like the pool upkeep, and in order to pay for that, you got to charge the people a lot, and time and everything. So, but if I can save, I would really like to, and just give more of that money towards doing good in the name of Nouns. We'll
Do
see.
the pools offer a different rates? Like if you're renting it out for a corporate party versus doing something nonprofit, or they just all have their bottom line and they don't care what you're doing with it?
Some pools do. This particular pool that I have been discussing renting from does offer that kind of discount. They have 3 tiers of discount, or 3 tiers of rates. And so, yeah, currently I'd be paying the highest rate, but there's maybe potential I could pay a slightly lower rate.
Is the pool owned by a DAO that you can go on chain with and make that request?
No, unfortunately. It's slow and painful, and very sloppily managed. But that's okay. That's part of the problem with everything, and why it's so difficult to do this kind of stuff. But trying to figure it out, save some money. Kind of like significant discount for nonprofits, and then also if you're a public institution, which I don't know how I would attain that status, you can get even deeper discounts.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like the kind of prop that could kind of get some bigger kind of media coverage. Seems like the kind of thing that people should want to be involved with, right? Free swim lessons for kids. That's not too
Yeah, and then over the weekend I was hanging out with my brother who works in this field quite a bit, and once we get together and start discussing, we get a little crazy with it, and so I'm trying not to let myself get distracted by like an even bigger idea. And I'm trying to stay focused on this one, but we're talking about some like crazy ideas in this vein. But I'm going to try and focus on this one first.
Yeah. How about, can I ask you, you pitched the prop draft to myself, to Mike, I think to a couple other folks. Have you gotten any feedback outside of kind of your small your kind of immediate inner circle? Have you gotten outside feedback? Have you sent it around, or what's sort of the next step there?
In Nouns, not really yet, but I will after this kind of chat. But in the swimming world, I sent it to someone who shared it with someone else, and that's how this woman kind of came up in conversation. I had already known she existed, and like her organization existed, but I just didn't consider to really like look at it. And then even when I looked at it, I still was like, I don't know, it's not quite the same. But I thought about it a little bit more, and so like sharing it kind of opened up this door a little bit, and so in that sense it worked. But that was outside of Nouns. I haven't shared it too much in Nouns other than just talking about the idea. I know you're kind of probably shaking your head at me, but
no, I mean, these are hard. This is hard. It's hard to get feedback, but I mean, yeah, you've got a little ways to go, I think, and it's good to not kind of waste all your feedback on the first version. I think in general, it's a pretty good strategy to kind of iterate slowly, because I think you're very unlikely to get feedback on 2 different versions, so you might want to save your important feedbacks for when you feel a little more solid about it. I don't know exactly how you do that, but something.
Yeah, I agree. I think maybe like here, like sharing with you or Mike Good, maybe a couple other people, I could share like as I go. But for the bigger feedback, I would probably want a more locked in version. Essentially, whatever I'm going to go on chain. If I like had to go on chain today, or with that proposal, then that's when I'm ready to share the feedback, I think.
Yep. Do you have your delegates lined up? Do you know who would delegate to you, or is that still work you got to do?
I would still have to do that work, but I think I could find it.
Yeah, you're going to need 3 in 7 or 8 days, right?
Yep. So I'll likely need 3, and I think I would like to get one up. Maybe pre-fork would be fun. I've been involved in props pre-fork, but I've never put one up. Seems like a cool milestone, I guess.
The fork is coming. Probably is the target still next month? Do you know?
Yeah, I think somewhere in August. It's projected to go live. You're muted if you're talking or not.
Oh, of course. Just going to shout out Aberdell for watching. Thank you. Looks like a little bit of dig at myself. I'm a little bit sick. Haven't been sick in a while, but getting through it. Hopefully the audio isn't too bad. But that's basically a wrap for this show. Index, anything else you want to add? Anything we should look for next week in terms of the swim prop, or it really depends a lot on talking to this woman, right?
Yeah, I have a meeting scheduled Friday. We'll see how it goes. I'll be there. At least, Will she be there? We'll find out next time. Let's play Little Nouns.
Thanks for joining us. We'll be back next week. Next Wednesday, as always, 8 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Mountain Time. And we'll see you next week in August. Thanks for watching.